And I presume that we are somewhere in that process of going through the checklist. Think of it, I think of it in my mind like if anyone's ever opened an escrow, you have certain things you have to do to complete it. That's very simplified, but that's kind of what it's like. We are probably in that process. I don't know because I don't have all the information, and I, like you, have been asking for that information, and I'm quite sure we'll get it. Some of it tonight and some of it after this, and I will put out all the information that I get to you all, to everybody. I will tell you that where we are today, I am opposed to this project. Now, don't clap. No, please don't. Please don't. I'm opposed because first and foremost, the Little Sisters property is a long time, now multi-generational property in our community. I go back to when it was formerly Lost Wind. I remember when it became for convalescent care, and now it's convalescent care and memory care. We all know people who live on in that property. We all know people who live in that property. And I do not support either the termination of those tenancies, moving people out in order to move other people in, or cohabitating and having two different programs in the same building. Either one is a possibility if the project moves forward. I don't support that. I want to say that I do support the drug and alcohol abuse treatment. I do support it. It's really, really an important thing in this community and in every community across California. I do support that. I am gravely concerned about the ability of this well-intentioned provider to be able to take on 6 acres, 122 beds, which is 3 times more than they have today, of inpatient care. And it's just an overwhelming, we can talk more about it when we're done, but I give them an opportunity to speak to this. The budget of this organization is currently in the 12, 13, $14 million, I presume, because I've only seen it up to 2024, I think, where it was $12 million budget. To triple or quadruple that budget and to quadruple or 10 times any one of the properties that they manage seems to me to be overwhelming and not credible. The largest facility they have now in sober living is 20. To go to 122 of inpatient beds when they have a total of 40 just doesn't seem credible to me. But I'm here to listen. I'm here to listen. I also know, and this is going to be something for the lawyers, I also know that when we as a community saw it move from Lost Wind High School to the Little Sisters of the Poor, we did go through a land use process then. And there was not the same statutory framework that we have today, but then there were covenant conditions that were placed on the property that said if it ceases to be used for senior living and for the convalescent care, then you have to come up to full code, and that you would have to provide all of the things that would have been required back then, which I think was 79, but I don't quote me on that date. And that is not the same thing as a condition or a regulation of the code. That is a covenant that runs with the property. It is a contract from property owner to property owner to property owner. So I'm going to take the position and continue to take the position that that needs to be adhered to. Today in City Council, or in committee, the Planning and Land Use Committee, I asked for additional follow-up on those issues. And I also asked for some more information on appraisals and other land use related questions to make sure that we put the city of Los Angeles and the community in the best possible position to make sure that we protect our interests. So that is where I am today. That's where I've been. That's where I was when I spoke at the Elks Club. And I just wanted you to know that position. I also think it's vitally important that we hear from these folks, and it's also going to be vitally important we get answers to so many questions, including what's in the application, what the proposal is, how the operation would propose to be run. And I think that is that the lack of transparency, which is a fault of the statutory scheme. It's a fault of the statutory scheme. The lack of transparency is something that tells me why we have 500 people here tonight. So with that, I also I'm very, very, very grateful to have elected offices, and in this case, an elected official here tonight to speak to you. And I want to introduce, and I want to hear a very warm thank you for being here for Supervisor Janice Hahn.
Thank you, Tim, and good evening, everyone. And thank you, council member, for letting me just say a few words. You know, there's a lot of rumors flying around our town about the project, about me. And I just wanted to start off by saying that the County of Los Angeles has no jurisdiction over the use of the Little Sisters of Poor property. I have many of you come up to me and say, please vote against this project. Please vote to deny this project. And I just want to make it clear that the Board of Supervisors, which I sit on, will never have that vote come to us. So I just wanted to clear that up. I don't have any jurisdiction on whether this project moves forward or not. But having said that, I'm here tonight wearing two hats. One is your county supervisor, who has been tasked with all of you to spend your tax dollars wisely and address the biggest problem that we have facing us, which is homelessness. So I think about that every day. And I work on that every day on how we can bring people inside. And I'm also here as a 24-year South Shore resident. I'm not here as long as some of you, but I bet I'm here longer than some of you. And I love where we live, right? We live in a great neighborhood, not just because of our homes, but because we're good neighbors. We look out for each other. We pull in a neighbor's trash can when they can't do it. We admire each other's homes and lawns and Christmas decorations. We gather every July 4th together to celebrate this great country we live in. We keep an eye on each other's homes to prevent crime. We have a very active homeowners association that keeps us informed on everything and lets us know if we should be watching out for an uptick in crime in our neighborhood. And my call tonight echoes the council members, right? I hope that we will keep things civil tonight, even if we disagree. Let's not shame those who support this project, all three of us. Let's not shame those who oppose it. There will be a difference of opinion on this project, but let's not tear each other apart over this. I want to acknowledge something many of us feel. We all loved Little Sisters of the Poor. Many of us have connections there. I remember waiting for the annual Christmas bazaar every year. There's members of my church who are on the waiting list, thinking that they were going to spend their golden years at Little Sisters. It was my polling place for 20 years. So no matter what, this change is hard, it's difficult. But I want to be honest also to all of you about the challenges we face in our county and here in San Pedro. And God bless you if your family has never had someone who struggled with substance abuse. Because most families have, I know mine has. And many of us know someone who's struggling with addiction. I've had many of my South Shores neighbors call me personally and asked me to find a place for their son or daughter who needed to be in rehab. And many times we couldn't find a place. So that's why I support the Fred Brown Recovery Services. I've seen their work. That's okay. I mean, I expected to be booed tonight. I actually thought I got a little bit farther along before I got booed. I figured I would get booed. But I just want to say I wouldn't be true to the county if I did not say we know them. We know the work that they do. They are one of the key providers for LA County. In fact, they are one of the best providers. We have heard nothing negative about Fred Brown Services. And I just need you to know. And, you know, and I also feel like I need to say that people who are addicted are not bad people. They're not bad people. And the people that choose to get help, whether it's Beacon House, whether it's House of Hope, these are the people that I want to make sure they get the help they need. Because once a person wants to turn their life around and get the help, I want to support them. So it's clear. Well, you know what? It's clear. Thank you, my president. It's clear emotions are going to run high tonight. What I hope is after tonight, we'll still be civil to each other. We'll still say hello to each other, whether we're in the grocery store or when I'm out on my walk. That's what I hope, that this issue does not tear apart the wonderful neighborhood and people that I have come to love. Thank you.
Everybody, I'm sure you know this, but it is hard to explain how difficult it is to stand in front of such a charged audience. And I will say that I don't agree on all, not on all fours with my friend, our friend, Janice Hahn, but I'm proud of her that she got up here, and I think that we can do better. We can do better. If we're shouting, we're not listening. Because it's about to get a little bit harder for you to listen and control your emotions. And I'm going to ask you from the bottom of my heart, I'm going to ask you now to allow the Fred Brown group to come up on the stage. They're going to come up on the stage and they're going to make a presentation. They will say things. Come on up, guys, get started. These are your shares. They're going to come on up and they're going to say things that some of you agree with. And they're going to say things that many of you disagree with. But Supervisor Hahn and I are in this game. We know that we're allowed to be booed. You get to vote us in office, vote us out of office. I'm going to ask you to listen to this group because you will be smarter and better able to make your comments if you hear every word and if you allow everybody in the audience to hear them. So with that, I'm going to let them make a presentation. I think it's going to be about 30 minutes. About 30 minutes, and then we will go to pro and con and neutral, and we will stay here. And then when we are done talking, they're going to come up and respond. and then we'll close out the evening. So thank you.
Hi, good evening. My name is Tom Hyatt, and I am the Community Outreach Manager and also a counselor at Fred Brown Recovery Services. I want to thank the council member, Acosta of the 1-5 for hosting this event tonight. And I want to thank you, Supervisor Hahn, for being here as well. And I want to thank all of you for coming out and listening with an open heart and an open mind tonight. Before we begin, I do want to establish a common understanding among us, okay? We're here tonight to clearly share what this project is, what it means to the community, but most importantly, what it is not. We know a project of this size comes with a higher level of scrutiny and a high level of community interest as well. And that's why we are here tonight. We've engaged with partners, community leaders, and public agencies throughout this process, but we know there is more communication to be had. So tonight is about continuing that conversation. It's about transparency, clarity, and making sure that what's being discussed is grounded in accurate information. Because at the end of the day, this work is about people. Who need care, structure, and support. So I want to thank our illustrious panel that are here tonight that are going to speak. Thank you to our elected representatives. And it is now my honor to introduce to you Roxy Natali Brown, the Executive Director of Fred Brown Recovery Services.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you for coming, and thank you, Council Member Tim and Janice. Thank you so much. Can't hear me? Can you hear me now? Okay. I'm feedback. Okay, so I'm Roxana Natali Brown, the Executive Director of Fred Brown's Recovery Services. At Fred Brown's Recovery Services, our primary purpose has always been simple, helping those who need it the most. For over 43 years, we've been serving this community, one person at a time, one program at a time, one facility at a time, with a commitment to care that is consistent, evidence-based, and grounded in integrity and love. We haven't spent a whole lot of time talking about ourselves. We've been focused on the work and our purpose, but this opportunity is different. This is a chance to expand the number of people we serve and to bring more people into treatment, get them off of our streets and onto a path of recovery. So let me tell you a little bit about Fred now. Fred, there he is, be on your left, and Al All on the right, founder and co-founder. For those of you who don't know, Fred Brown was my late husband. He would tell me stories of when he first came to San Pedro, that all he had left from years of active addiction was a paper bag with all of his belongings in it. After he got clean and sober, he said he told God if he could get his daughter back into his life, he would dedicate his life to helping people. He went to school, became a counselor, and worked at San Pedro Peninsula Hospital. This is where he saw the need for folks who got out of treatment and had nowhere to go. He opened up his first sober living house for addicts in 1983 here in San Pedro. That has evolved into where we are today, operating 31 facilities and still growing as the need presents itself, which you will hear more about in this presentation. Al All, co-founder, actually had the honor of treating the First Lady, Betty Ford, at the Naval Hospital in 1973. Together, he and Fred created a trauma-based treatment process that is as relevant today as it was when Fred Brown's treatment started in 1994. They were truly pioneers of trauma-informed treatment. And with that being said, we've also been a member of the Chamber of Commerce for over 30 years and a community partner for over 43 years. So now I'd like to introduce you to our Director of Administration, Mark Malone.
Thank you, Roxy. It's been an honor working with you and our staff through all these years, serving our clients and community. I've been with Fred Brown Recovery Services for 27 years. And thanks everybody for coming. We got a good turnout. There's been a lot of information out there, and we'd like to here at the beginning take a few minutes just to clear up some of the misconceptions. We will address these issues later in the presentation as well. But for now, we'd like to go through a list of issues of what we're proposing and what it is not. So it is not a drop-in clinic. We're not going to have random people showing up. This is a licensed treatment facility. Clients are screened and enrolled before arrival. Our outpatient clients will be transported to and from the outpatient office from our homes. We'll provide a van service to do that. It's not a prison release program. This seems to be a rampant rumor. It's not a diversion program. It's not a reentry program. Clients are admitted based on their clinical need. Any person that comes to the program that does have a criminal justice involvement, it's incidental to why they're there, just like any hospital. It's not a reentry program. It is not that. It's not a sober living home. It's state licensed treatment with medical staff, structured programming, and regular state inspections. We're going to go back to that later in the presentation. Okay, I'd like to address this one though. This is a biggie. It is not a 900-person facility. It's just not. DHCS counts appointment slots. So that 900 number is at full capacity is the number of appointments available. Okay, it translates to 175 to 200 persons per day for our outpatient program. In addition,
If you have questions on the presentation, raise your hand. We'll get you a card. Please, let's get through the presentation without calling from the audience. Let's let them get through the whole presentation. Thank you.
okay, thank you, Councilman. It's not an expansion. We're not changing the footprint of the buildings. We will be renovating some parts of the building, but they're in great shape. We don't need to do much. No new construction is being planned. We're not rezoning. Our advisors and the state have told us that no rezoning is necessary, but we will be talking about this later because I know that's an important point. It's not a regional treatment center. It's a local facility serving the South Bay and harbor areas. That's who we serve now and will continue to do so. And the beds, the deficit in beds that we're addressing are from this area. And finally, it's not open to out-of-state residents. You have to have LA County Medi-Cal in order to be eligible for services. Okay, so for right now, I'd like to introduce Kira Bakari, who is our project manager.
Hello, can you hear me? All right. So Councilmember McCosker, you did a fantastic job introducing BCHIP. It is the Behavioral Health Continuum Infrastructure Program. As he said, it was a bond measure passed in 2024. This local region was passed in the top 20% in the state. What this funds is the property purchase and renovations only. It does not fund operations, ongoing maintenance, hiring. It is a competitive grant. It is based off of feasibility, cost effectiveness, operator expertise and experience, and alignment with the state and local priorities. This round was considered unmet needs. Later in the presentation, you'll learn more about those county unmet needs that this project is going to address. Finally, when you're asking about why this location, this grant prioritized what was called a campus model. That is defined as 3 or more buildings on a single property. So those that were competitive were those that had 3 or more buildings on a single property. And here's where we are in the timeline. I'm going to stay here for just a little bit so we all know that currently the application was submitted on October 28th of 2025. The notice of conditional award came on March 11th of 2026. So we are truly only about 4 weeks into what is considered a conditional award. And as Councilmember McCosker said, there are a number of deliverables and deadlines over the course of the next 8 weeks that are mandated by DHCS. So you can see we are here. And I want to be clear that no funds have been received and no contract has been signed yet. The first bond draw is slated for February of 2027. DHCS mandates that the money from this grant is used over the course of 5 years. So it's actually, it got cut off. It looks like to March of 2031. So a project timeline will be within March 11th of 2026, which are our conditional phase. And then we have to expend the funds by March of 2031. And now I would like to introduce Dr. Lusk from Harbor Community Health Clinics, and he will talk with you about the unmet need.
All right, good evening, everyone. I'm Dr. Caleb Lusk. I'm a family medicine physician and an addiction medicine physician. I work here right in San Pedro in the Community Health Center. My role today is not to speak to site selection or approvals. That's not my lane at all. What I am going to share is my clinical practice experience and the needs that I see from the community. All right, so this slide basically shows that our region here in Spot 8 has a bed shortage and why that matters. So in clinical practice, every single week, I have a patient come in from our community that is trying to access evidence-based addiction care to better their lives. They all have goals and they want timely care. And when it comes to treatment, timing matters. When patients are ready for help, that window can be short. And if care isn't available, we often miss it. Next slide. This slide shows the local impact that our hospitals have. And in our zip codes, access for drug and alcohol-related hospitalizations are amongst the highest in the county. In my observation of this, our patients don't have access to treatment. They often go to the emergency room, they get stabilized temporarily, discharged right back to the community, and then return in a few short weeks. And there's a lot of trauma that goes with that to my patients, and there is a need here. I also know that, from a community concern, questions around safety, location, and impact are valid and deserve thoughtful discussion. And I'm going to transition things to Dr. Hurley, but that's what I see on a daily basis working in a community health center.
Good evening.
Good
Can you hear me okay? All right, cool. So I'm Brian. I am an addiction psychiatrist and I work for the county health department. For the part of the county health department that supports substance use prevention, treatment, and recovery services. And we've had a problem in Los Angeles County. We are losing way too many people to overdose, and we have way too much untreated substance use, right? That is a county-wide problem. We launched a program called Drug Medi-Cal in 2017, designed to expand treatment. And we have been, in fact, the Beads Chip Awards have gone out to various parts of the county. And in 2024, we saw the most significant decrease in drug overdoses ever in LA County history, a 22% reduction. So I wanted to highlight that these expansions are making a difference in our community. We are invested in Fred Brown Recovery Services as one of our treatment contractors. We recognize that Fred Brown has county and state monitored standards around clinical quality, admission and discharge criteria, around holding staff and clients accountable to the services being delivered. And we monitor the quality through chart reviews and tracking to make sure what the care that the county is paying for is the care county residents are receiving. Next slide, please. When we assess and rate the quality of care delivered in the over 84 agencies that operate over 400 sites of care across the county, Fred Brown is our second highest rated provider. Of the 82 agencies participating in our capacity building initiatives, we look at client retention, treatment completion, care accessibility, workforce credentials, and access to the full range of medications, counseling, and supportive services. So the point that I'm making here is we have a public health program that is working to advance the health and wellness of LA County residents, and LA County supports Fred Brown Recovery Services. And with that, I'm going to turn it back to Fred Brown. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Hurley, and thank you for highlighting some of our accomplishments in the past few years. Okay, so I've been here with Fred Brown's for 27 years, as I think I mentioned. We've been scaling this program all along. And with the county's investment and the state's investment in our program and the other providers in the county, we've essentially doubled in size in the 5 years since 2020. Serenity will roll out over the next 5 years. It's not all at once. We will ramp up operations based on, we could go to the next slide. We will ramp up operation and scale operations based on our readiness to do so. That means we've hired and trained staff, we've gotten our state licenses, we've passed all the inspections, and we are fully operational in the step 5. Now, if you follow this, acquiring property would happen next year if this should go through. In 2027, the property would be acquired. Then roughly in 2028, we do some maintenance, do some interior renovations. Then 29, 30, and 31 is where we're hiring and training staff. We're starting to fill beds, and then we become fully operational in 2031. So there's, again, a 5-year timeline to ramp up, and we'll do so as our capacity becomes operational. Next, I'd like to introduce Adrian Revelis, who's our Director of Programs.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, Janice. Thank you, Tim. So I'm going to present on the what, the how, and the who. And thank you all for being here. I really appreciate everyone's attendance here. I'm gonna tell you just a real quick personal thing about myself. I am the Director of Programs and Clinical Services for Fred Brown, but I'm also a proud graduate of the University of Southern California with a degree in Clinical Social Work, Master's. And also I have a Master's in Business Administration from the University of Pepperdine. But I'm also a Fred Brown baby.
Okay, so what I've asked everybody to do is allow presentations to go unabated. And if this were a city council meeting, I would say no booing and no clapping. Let's just do the presentation, okay? It's gonna apply in a few minutes when folks are speaking and you're agreeing with them. I'm gonna ask you not to clap and not to disrupt. We're just gonna listen to these presentations, okay? Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. So like I was saying, I am a proud Fred Brown baby. I am a product of this program. I graduated in 2012. I have also overdosed in my life. I was basically dead and brought back. And now I live a productive life. I'm a productive member of society. So, you know, I guess this is the boogeyman that you guys probably think that you will see around. And so if it is, well, I hope there's more boogeymen like me, right? So let me start with what we actually going to provide here if this project comes through. We meet people at different levels depending on the need. Residential, we have a 24-hour structured care, whether it's in the time frame is between 30 and 90 days, depending on the need. And let me emphasize on this. It's going to be 106 beds max of residential care. For outpatient, our clients are going to live outside. We're going to do our best to transport most of them back and forth. And at max, we will have 200 clients going in and out of our outpatient. We will also provide peer respite beds. That's for short-term voluntary hospital stabilization for our veterans. So everything is scheduled. There's no drop-ins. This is a full system of care, not a drop-in or an unstructured environment. Next slide, please. So how do we treat? Well, let me explain a little bit how does it work, right? This is evidence-based care that we give. This is not a guesswork. This is not actually just meetings you can drop in and talk about. You are going to come in here as a client and we're going to treat you with evidence-based care. We'll give you the individual therapy, group therapy, relapse prevention, cognitive behavioral therapy, life skills, what Fred Brown gave to me also. And that's why I'm here standing before you today, speaking on behalf of them. Financial literacy for real world stability, as I've been able to gain. We'll also have peer support staff, meaning individuals who have lived the life of drug abuse will be there to support the current clients. Medication, we'll have medication when appropriate and monitored by professional medical staff. Everything is going to work together. Nothing is in isolation. So we're not just treating addiction here. We're helping people rebuild their lives with proven methods. And I want you to pay attention to the bottom of the slide where it says patient follow-up. After 1 year, 89% of clients that we contacted remain sober, and 99% have no contact with law enforcement or emergency medical after 1 year with being with us. Next slide, please. So who delivers the care? Moi, part of the team. Certified SUD counselors, medical staff, nurses, practitioners, physicians, board certified physicians. We will have on staff their specialties in addiction and medicine. Certified peer specialists. We will continue to meet all state and county standards that we have been doing. This will be licensed, regular professional care, not an unmonitored environment. And I think that's where I want to really bring that point home to you guys. I know because some of you had something happened before, not too long ago in that place, and just want to make sure, bring home the point that that's not us, that wasn't us, and we will never work in that type of setting that way. So, next slide. So this is a day in the life. This is what it's gonna look like in the 106 bed residential center. There will be early wake-up calls, wellness checks, medication if needed. A full daily schedule will consist of therapy, groups, life skills, meals together, chores. There's gonna be accountability. We will have in the facility evening recovery meetings, then we'll have lights out. Devices will be restricted. Visitors will be supervised. So there's not gonna be no unsupervised movement, no free roaming. This is a structured, supervised environment designed for stability and recovery. So finally, we're gonna move on to, I know it's a priority for you guys, it's safety, and I get it. I can truly empathize with that. And so I know that is one of your biggest concerns is safety and what that means for your neighborhood. And I validate that, believe me. So I'm going to hand it over to our Director of Operations, Christopher Neely, who's going to walk you through exactly how safety and security and supervision will be handled on this campus. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Adrian. Hello, everyone. Thank you for coming up. My name is Christopher Neely. I am the Director of Operations for Fred Brown Recovery Services. I've been with the company for 7 years now, and I am a proud graduate of rehabilitation. So to start off with the safety and security part of the facility, if you look at the slide where it says access, there'll be control access in and out of the facility. Any client that will come in and out the facility will be monitored. They won't be roaming around. You won't look up and see them out front. They will be monitored. Any discharges or any clients that do not fit the criteria or want to leave and go back home is supervised. And we take care of them. We take them back home or refer them out and give them a higher level of continuity care. All visitors are scheduled and supervised and monitored and screened. So we go through the backgrounds, we check, we make sure they're good to go, we supervise the visits, and we're right there keeping an eye on them while they're being visited. 24/7 staff, we're there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Outpatient clients are also transported by our staff to and from their groups. Program rules and program guidelines. Each client that comes into our program signs a program agreement and consists to random drug and alcohol tests at any time. Also, they're mandated to daily programming, individual treatment plans, and all off-site appointments have a staff member with them at all times. We have a 43-year relationship with LAPD, LA Fire, and paramedics team. Also, treatment reduces emergency calls as well. We have an on-site medical licensed staff. Next slide, please. What we also are adding beyond the requirements of the state is 24/7 security on site. 24/7 safety treatment security, which will be our PA staff. We'll also have 24-hour surveillance, which you see the monitoring of the cameras and alarm systems campus-wide. Key card control entry when they're coming in and when they're exiting at all points of the doorways. So that way we can monitor our clients as they go in and come out to the groups, go in and come out to their rooms. Productivity. We are coordinating with the Harbor Division, LAPD, and LA Fire, and the paramedics department. There will be no walkouts, no walk-ins. Everyone is screened to the best of our ability, and we make sure that they follow all admission guidelines that are required. Anyone discharged will be authorized by the clinical team and upper management. Thank you guys for letting me present. Thank you.
All right. Okay, thank you. Thank you very much. Uh, This slide, I love research. I absolutely love research and I love data. Data is objective. It's a wonderful thing. So this slide gives you 3 specific examples of research, published research. The first one comes from the Journal of Urban Economics. It shows that an additional treatment facility in a county reduces local crime costs between 1.2 million and 2.9 million annually. How did they reach this conclusion? Researchers tracked the crime rates as facilities both opened and they closed across counties. The second one is drug and alcohol dependence, the 2024 study. It was done over the period of a year, and they looked at 6,177 veterans. Of those veterans, half of them, all of them had a substance use disorder. 66% reduction in veteran deaths for those that went into residential treatment. So half of that 6,177 did not have residential treatment, the other half did, and there was a 66% reduction for those that did seek residential treatment. And the third one is the American Journal of Economics. So they more rigorous method that they used for property values than previous studies by controlling for neighborhood characteristics. There was no change in home values if a treatment facility no change in home values, and there's no evidence that a treatment facility would lower nearby property values. Okay. Next slide, please. As part of this project, it is important to know that this property has been a site to give and to care for those that are in need and the poor and our community's most vulnerable. It is an absolutely beautiful facility, and Fred Brown intends to preserve this campus character. It is private and gated. It has a beautiful tree-lined perimeter. There are meditation gardens. As we stated earlier, there's no new construction planned. We're going to renovate existing structures to meet current building standards. And we're working with the current residents to ensure continuity of care throughout any transition. And yes, that stained glass is going to stay. So the bottom line is that this facility is a licensed state-regulated treatment facility. It is not a drop-in center, and there are no unauthorized walk-ins. Fred Brown's has been in the San Pedro community for 43 years, and we are supported by the county. We're also nationally SAPSI funded capacity building. SAPSI has invested in this organization, and we have grown over the last 5 years considerably, and we will continue to grow to meet the needs of our community. And we have successfully passed local, city, state, federal, and accrediting body audits with strong outcomes. Final slide, please. So before we close the portion of this presentation, we want to briefly address a few concerns that we've heard come up repeatedly. First, there have been questions about a former covenant on the property. That covenant dates back to a proposed project in the 1970s involving a small portion of the site. That project was never built. As part of this process, the city reviewed the covenant and formally terminated it. It is no longer part of the property's title. Second, we know there are currently seniors living on site, and that does matter. Those residents are there through a temporary arrangement made by the current owner. Plans are already in place. Plans are already in place to transition them to another facility operated by the same provider. Plans are indeed already in place to transition them to another facility operated by the same provider, ensuring their care continues without disruption. And finally, we've heard concerns that this site should remain a senior living facility. We understand that perspective. At the same time, a senior housing model was explored by the current ownership and was not financially viable at this location. That is why the property is being sold. So the question in front of us is not whether this site returns to senior housing. It is what its next use will be. What is being proposed is a licensed, structured treatment campus that continues the site's long history of serving people in need of care. We know not everyone will agree with that direction, but it is important that the conversation is grounded in accurate information about what is and is not possible for this site. And with that, we want to shift from talking about the work to showing you what it looks like in real life. It's our honor to introduce someone whose life has been directly impacted by this work. Richard B.
We will be asking questions and making comments as a group in a few minutes. Let's respectfully listen. Let's respectfully listen to this speaker, and then we will transition to the podium. We will have one more speaker. Please, everybody. One speaker.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I know you guys are highly emotional and very concerned about this project. Very understandable. I get it, right? But my name is Richard. It's fine. My name is Richard. I'm currently a full-time employee, a program assistant, and a house manager for one of the sober livings at Fred Brown Recovery Services. I'm also an ex-client from Fred Brown. And I just kind of want to touch a few things. In 2024 of July, I was living on the side of the freeway in the bushes underneath the freeway overpass. So anyways, I was addicted to meth and fentanyl, drinking alcohol every day, without purpose, without direction, and without hope. I had nowhere to go. I didn't know about treatment centers like this. I had abandoned my children, estranged from my wife. I was the dregs of society, right? I was the guy that when you see walking down the street, you guys probably walk to the other side of the street, right? I was the guy that you would make sure that your Ring camera had batteries in it, you know? I was the guy that you would lock your door if you saw me walking by your car. Just to be honest, and for good reason, But I want to tell you, my life is no longer like that today because of Fred Brown Recovery Services. I've completely transformed my life. I had a moment of clarity the other day when I was sitting with my daughter. And when she told me, I walked in the house, I had come home from work, and I walked in the house, and I walked in, and she said, "Daddy's home," right? Daddy's home. And my heart burst open, and I started crying because I remember 2 years ago when I was sitting on the side of the freeway, man, lost without direction and hope, and then looking at my life today. And now I get to work for Fred Brown Recovery Services and try to give back to what was freely given to me, man. I'm super blessed and grateful beyond measure for what Fred Brown Recovery Services has done to me. They treated me with a level of compassion, dignity, and respect when I felt like I didn't deserve it. And I to be honest, I really didn't. That's how low I had fallen in my life. So I'll just say this and be brief. I know you guys got some questions to get to. There's a motto that we have in our treatment center. It's on our walls of all of our sober livings. And I probably walked by it 1,000 times in treatment, right? And then one day I stopped. I was a house manager and I stopped. I was getting ready for a statewide inspection to make sure we were up to code. And I was looking at the signs and it said, "If you treat a man as he is, he will remain that way. But if you treat a man as how he might become, he will become that." And that's what Fred Brown did to me. Now I'm a fine, upstanding member of this community. I'm sponsoring guys in the work to help change their lives. I go to work every day on time, just like you guys do. I go home to my kids and take care of my family. I pay some bills. 2 years ago, unheard of, right? So I just want to kind of, I know that you guys have someone like me in your family, right? So I just like to implore you guys, think about what this place can do for the countless other members like me, man. Thank you.
Now we have the comment cards. If you completed your card, we're going to be calling out those folks in order of oppose, support, and neutral. And Drew at the center podium will be calling your name. Listen for it. She will give you the microphone. And the folks that are getting called are the ones that check the box saying, "I want to speak." If something occurred to you and you would need to speak, raise your hand and we'll get you a comment card. Drew, start calling. Thank you. Oh, and can I say this too? Now we are going to be hearing from our neighbors. We're going to be hearing from our neighbors. So no matter what they say, let's listen and let's wait our turn to speak. And then when this is all done, the Fred Brown group is going to be responding for the period of time. So they're going to be taking some notes and responding to some of your questions and comments. Thank you.
First question from Ron H. Is Ron H. here?
Call a few names so they can line up, okay?
My name is Ron and I am an alcoholic. And you know what I do every morning? I get up and I go to a meeting. That's what I do. That's who I am. Because I know what my problem is. It's not alcohol, it's me, right? That's the crux of every recovering person, is themselves. And it took me a long time to get to a place of being comfortable in a community. I grew up in San Fernando. And there was an earthquake there in Sylmar in '71, right? I was 10 years old. That was when a community came together. That's what this is right here. This is a community. This is all about a community that comes together to prevent something that we know is not in the best interest of our community. Fred Brown has 37 facilities. Here's what I want to know. Here's what I want to ask. What is the recovery rate of people with at least 1 year of recovery in those 37 facilities? Can you answer that?
They will answer, they will have a chance to answer at the end. We're not going to do back and forth. To
Okay.
make sure we get as many speakers as, we want to get as many speakers as possible. We want to get as many speakers as possible.
I'm good, but I know this. This is my community now. This is my community.
I'd like to call up Steve Trutanich, Gwen Henry, and Lori Jacobs. That's Steve Trutanich, Gwen Henry, and Lori Jacobs. I see Gwen, I see Lori. Is there a Steve here? Okay, so then we're gonna go for Jennifer Lupo.
Thank you all for being here. My name is Lori Jacobs, and I'm the San Pedro Neighborhood Council Homelessness Liaison and a grateful recovering drug addict who got sober at an in-person recovery program that was located in an upscale neighborhood. I can appreciate potential safety issues, and we should get answers addressing those concerns. I do not appreciate the indignant, knee-jerk, mean-spirited attacks based on fear-mongering social media non-facts. This program, the Fred Brown Recovery Center, is not bringing a problem into San Pedro. It's addressing a problem that already exists by offering a path to recovery to those who want to get help and turn their lives around. Having worked on finding solutions to homelessness, addiction, and mental health for many years, I have endured listening to people's prejudice against people in need in all the programs we try to support. And these same people are up here saying they don't have anything against recovery, but not in their neighborhood. But they say, I reclaim my time. And then you say you're not a NIMBY. Well, guess what? We live in a high density community. So there's no location that's not within a certain distance from a school, a church, or daycare. Please, respect that you give me. Please look at the, never mind that comment. Recovery has not only given me my life back, but it has inspired me to put a hand out to others, as that hand was given to me freely without judgment. I will always be concerned about the safety of my community, and I will always advocate for programs that help our neighbors in need. I'm not perfect. I'm not a saint. Fred Brown Recovery Services is addressing the disease of addiction, which is complex. They will also not be 100% perfect, but they have my support to continue their efforts to serve our community with much needed services. Please continue to ask pertinent questions. They cut me off. I reclaim my time, Tim. I reclaim my time, Tim. Please continue to ask pertinent questions, stay well informed, and hold them accountable, but at the same time, consider working together. You can never have too many facilities to help people in need.
Gwen Henry. Is Jennifer Lupo here? Okay, I'd like to call up Kyle Boone and Amber Sheik.
Hi, everyone. So I am a firm supporter of helping people to get out of very deep trouble. I'm also, but there are concerns that everyone has regarding the size of the facility. And in my case, I'm concerned about that Fred Brown is really good at personal small groups. this is a much larger facility. And my concerns are about, will there be always a good ratio of service providers to this? Now, I love the data and everything like that, but the problem is that I would like to see data between small group treatment and large group treatment, and what the consequences of that might be. Sorry. There were more questions that I had based on the lack of information. I would, for example, the site itself, it will be, the site will be kept pristine into its original character, but it's a lockdown facility with security doors. There's a lot of changes that need to be done with that. And, the greatest concern is about 106 people, 220 off-site coming in every day. Once again, this is a large group. I'm hoping that you guys provide more information regarding the particulars of this. Thank you.
All right, Kyle Boone. I'd also like to call upon Ray Regalado and Aaron Moakley.
Hi, my name is Kyle Boone, and I'm a psychologist. I worked at Harbor UCLA Medical Center for 22 years in the Department of Psychiatry. We had 22 inpatient beds. We didn't have 107. This program is massive. The idea that there would be 175 to 200 outpatient visits per day, that eclipses anything that happened at Harbor UCLA in the outpatient service in psychiatry. The program is too big. Yes, I've had family members who needed help with drug addiction, but they were tucked into treatment programs that had 20 beds, not 107. So I think that it's irresponsible to put such a huge program in this community. And then my question is, when people do not make it through the program and they're discharged, are they simply dumped out onto the street? Because in our neighborhood, we really don't have homelessness. But if people are kicked out of the program and put on the street, then yes, we will have homelessness here.
Amber Sheik.
Hi, everyone. So first of all, I have to give credit to both our council member and supervisor for coming today. This is not, and for Fred Brown for showing up, because this is not an easy crowd, and I know it well. So I have to just say that. I've given you a lot of credit. So I personally am in favor of this project because we need more of this throughout the county. And I don't think enough folks here understand how things are being cut throughout the city. And I live in San Pedro, in coastal San Pedro. You can come over later. But I don't think folks understand that the cuts happening at the federal, state, county, and city level around homelessness are going to impact our community directly, and that these types of projects are our last chance at actually getting any type of housing intervention or prevention in our community. So if we say no to this, we are saying no to the last resort we have. You can disagree with that. Thank you very much. Moreover, thank you for our electeds for holding this today and Fred Brown for showing up.
I'd like to call Ray Regalado. I'd also like to call upon Kelly Johnson and Desiree Plunbet.
Thank you all for being here. It's something that we need to know, especially for those of us who might be, as I am, neutral. I'm still trying to figure out where I stand. So with that, I need some information. Some of that information I would like to get is that I'd like to know what your definition of success is. I saw, you know, I saw everything that you had up on the screen, but I didn't hear what it is that you determine is a success, along with the fact that I also would like to know what determines success. How many people, and do you have the stats to prove what the successes are? Let me also ask that I, as a professional community organizer that I did for the county for over 25 years, I kind of wanted to find out, you know, how you did your outreach to communities so that we are better informed for things like this, so that we can make decisions. So I'd like to know how you're going to continue your community outreach for your efforts. And the last thing, and this is something that I had stated at one of your previous meetings, I think what's needed so that there's ongoing communication should the project go through, I think there needs to be the establishment of a community advisory group made up of community members to be able to have direct communication with you and not have to go through state, county, or city intermediaries to get the message back. Because when we have a situation, we really need to have direct communication and immediate communication with you.
Erin. Hi, so I'm a local mom. I live on 31st in Almeria. I have a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. And just so you know, that's within walking distance where I live of where your proposed facility is. My daughter's schools are also within walking distance. And so I share the same concerns that the community has about discharge and what that's going to look like for my local grocery store, right? Where I take my children and we enjoy safety and peace. Right? You can't bring a huge population like this in and not expect for there to be incidents that are unfavorable, right? So I think we really need to sit here and look at what preemptive measures you're taking with the police department, with the fire department, to make sure that there are resources allocated for what potential there is for harm here, because there is a very great potential for harm. And I also think it's really disingenuous to sit here and behave as if our community doesn't have compassion for people with addiction problems. Because that's really unacceptable, right? My husband looks just like you. I'm not afraid of him. Okay. And then my last question is, because you're coming into our community, this is a union town. Are these union jobs that you're bringing into the facility?
I'd also like to call, if I didn't already, Kelly Johnson, okay, Rick Grove, and Mandy Monfort.
Good evening. My name's Kelly Johnson. I reside with my spouse in a 248 unit senior citizen community that's approximately a half a mile from the location. Next door is at 2020 Southwestern Avenue. That condo complex, the majority of the people that live there are 55 and over as well. You have a preschool on the corner of 19th and Western. This is not a safe, viable choice at all. It's my understanding that your company does not put out your failure rate. Yet the state of California reports that there is a 70% fallout on these inpatient programs. Also, our community reports that there is a number of individuals that wash out and are discharged onto the streets of San Pedro. What are you going to do to protect us? Because guess what? We're not protected now. I go to the grocery store at the Vaughn Shopping Center. There's drugs, there's drug sellers, there was a fire in the Vaughns a couple of years ago And I want to know what you're going to do. Are you going to put these people on the street? Because I know you have rules in your facility. So when these people fail and they don't follow your rules, are you just going to put them out to sleep on the park bench on Western? You need to answer these questions and you need to think hard about the location. This is not a proper location.
I'd like to also call upon Dave Pylon.
Hi, my name is Desiree Plunkett. My question is actually for Councilmember McCosker. You've positioned yourself as an advocate for Black, Brown, undocumented, and disenfranchised communities that are disproportionately impacted by substance abuse and lack of access to treatment. So how do you reconcile that with your opposition to this facility? And at what point does it become a case of being a NIMBY, not in my backyard? From your website, sir, we must act with greater urgency. The city council and mayor need to focus on immediate shelter while keeping the pipeline full on permanent housing solutions and supportive services, such as this one. We need to embrace creative housing solutions like container construction, tiny homes, and renovations of existing facilities. Again, from your website, sir. We don't lack funding or public interest in solving homelessness. We lack political will, sir, from your website. Coordination within and between agencies and imagination for solutions. From your website, it says, I am ready to take on these challenges.
All right, let's address everything, right? Okay, so we're all San Pedrons. How many people grew up and have a lot of San Pedro pride? I do. Yeah, I love this town, right? So this town, to some people, the people that you're looking at here, have a tremendous amount of pride. This is not San Pedro that you see. It's like Palos Verdes to us. This is like Palos Verdes, Rancho Palos Verdes, 90275. They would never allow a facility like that. Well, that's how we see this town. So a facility where homes are 1.2 million, 1.6 million. I mean, people work their ass off to live here, right? So I believe firmly that everybody that has a drug problem, right? It's very easy to fall into these problems in this society that we live in. They have a right to deserve service. Now, do they deserve oceanfront property? I'm not so sure about that. No, I do not think they deserve. I mean, I don't think that it requires oceanfront property to be rehabilitated. All right, so I'm just gonna stick with this. Let's just stick with what I'm talking about here, right? So it's the location, right? Does public perception, the public, the people that live here, right here, does it matter? Does it matter? Does it actually matter to Fred Brown? Does it matter to you that the people that are living on 21st and Moray, that are going for walks on Western, that they're gonna know that this is a drug rehabilitation facility, not a prison? Now, I understand that the doors aren't gonna be locked 24 hours a day. I'm pretty damn certain that these people aren't gonna feel like they're in prison, right? Because you wanna treat them like humans. You don't wanna treat them like animals. So how are you gonna balance the public perception, the public need, and the public pride that everybody in this room has for the town they live in? All right, so you got to think about the pride that everybody worked their ass off, worked their damn ass off to own these homes on Upper San Pedro. We're not talking Center Street, God forbid. So anyways, that's all I have to say. Just remember that when you guys make this.
Thank you. I'd like to call Rick Grove.
Good evening. Thank you for being here tonight. My name is Dave Pillon. My wife and I have lived here in San Pedro for about little over 32 years. Louder? We've lived in San Pedro for a little over 32 years. And yesterday we were having coffee with our next door neighbor. And we were, just discussing, local news. And I knew her son had struggled with substance abuse disorder. And I asked her if she knew anything about Fred Brown. And she said, Fred Brown saved my son's life. And I said, well, tell me more about that. And he had struggled in and trying to get services and finally found a service that worked for him and recovered. He's now, married with a baby, working in the port, and she attributed it all to your services. I just wanted to congratulate you on, that was one recovery story that you should be very proud of. But I also, as I was looking through your metrics, I was really impressed by your 89%, sobriety rate after a year. I think that's an incredible metric, and the 99% not being involved with criminal justice after a year, incredible results. And you deserve to be proud of it. And those are the reasons why I'm in favor of this project. I would like to add to what one person said earlier, which is an advisory committee that is comprised of citizens in the nearby area needs to be established so that they can express their concerns as issues arise. I think that's really important, and you'd be really doing them and yourselves a favor if you were to address that. Thank you.
Do I have Rick Grove, Mandy Monfort, Michael Bird, Gail LaGrosse, Kelly Johnson,
Michael Bird. I live in the Los Angeles Torrance area, right down the street. I'm a neighbor. I've known Fred Brown for over 40 years. And I have a business, a successful business in town. It's been around for 30 years. And I've hired over 200 or 300 people to work with me from Fred Brown, and not just outside cleaning up pop cans. They work in Hollywood. They work in studios. They're running studios. They're people that are sustaining. Every one of them was always respectful. They were grateful for the job. And so I can only do my part. If I think the government's going to do it, okay, great. But what I do is my part, and what I've done is trusted what they've done and worked with these guys to say, hey, there's a need. And the need was not only was it that it's needed in the community. So if it's not this location, maybe you guys could tell us some other options. I'm not saying that, but or maybe some of you smart guys can come up with a couple for them. But I'll say this, is that there is a need for it. It's not the data's real. I've been in recovery for over 41 years. What started out as a party for me turned into something different. And my family had it all. It was all there. So all of us are touched by this. Now, the question is, if you're driving down the street and we don't want to have this treatment center, but we got guys at 7-Eleven copping and trying to making us afraid, what's our solution? So let's hear some more solutions. But I'll tell you, my part in this is I act the way I talk and speak with my feet and not sit in the back and chicken shit over people what they're saying. So if you want to do your work, start talking about how you can be part of the solution and not part of the problem, because we are in a community and we're here to be neighbors with each other. So my part was, I still will work with Fred Brown. They have big facilities and they help a lot of people. Okay, and I hope that they continue to do what they're doing, and I hope that the people will be open to how we could possibly find a way to solution. I think the solution you guys has is awesome. Thank you.
somebody? Do I have Mandy, Rick, or Gail? Mandy?
My name is Mandy and I'm definitely an addict. I come here and I stand because I've got 10.5 years clean. I am a resident in this city. If it wasn't for Fred Brown's and treatment centers like that, I wouldn't be the owner operator of a sober living for women that come to me from that place, right? You guys show so much love for your city, but yet you stand back there with so much hate. I stand here as a woman of integrity, honesty, love, compassion, understanding. I believe in programs. I believe in rehabilitating. Like, drive around your city down on Gaffey and tell me what you guys see. There's a lot of homeless people that if they went to treatment, I live in San Pedro, and I know if they went to treatment and they got the mental health help that they could have gotten, there would be a lot less. I truly believe in this program. I'm for it. I understand both sides, but I also know that, like, if it wasn't for recovery, I wouldn't be the woman, the daughter, the sister, the friend, the aunt, all of that because of treatment.
I'd like to also call on Marion Messin, Joe Amalfitano, and Shirley Summers.
Hey, thank you, everybody. First off, I just want to say that the statistics you showed with the zip codes, you should have put downtown LA too, not just focus on the 90731 and 32. And second of all, I'm very offended by what you think that nobody knows about addiction in here, because I've witnessed this room probably knows more about addiction than any of you up there. They've lost more family members, more kids, more everything than you would ever understand. And most of us grew up down on Beacon Street, so we know what addiction is, all right? The other thing is, I'll say this because I'm an advocate for elderly, what you're doing to this place is a travesty. Addiction is a choice. Getting old is not a choice. They don't know where they're gonna go or what they're gonna do. A lot of money's gonna be involved for this place. I don't know what you're gonna charge per bed, but I'm sure it's gonna be a lot. I'm fucking totally against this.
Okay, I'm speaking for my cousin that had to leave. Okay, I've lived here 78 years in San Pedro. And this town has grown quite a bit. We used to be able to walk the streets pretty safely as a kid. Nowadays, it is kind of dangerous. I see the homeless on the streets and I feel sorry for them. But you know, addiction is an addiction. It could be eating, it could be anything. But there are programs everywhere. I'm not against Fred Brown's program. I'm against it taking over the Little Sisters of the Poor's building. As a person that was brought up Catholic in this town, that was given to the Archdiocese by Sepulveda. Now, what is happening? You're taking away our religious facility where our nuns work there for free. They didn't get paid to help all these seniors. And we need to keep our seniors safe so that we can get old and stay safe in this town. There are lots of facilities all around this area, empty buildings, empty schools, empty hospitals all over. Try Hawthorne, try El Segundo. There are empty facilities that you could put your program to, which would do a fantastic job. We got Terma Island over there that's got a prison. You can take that prison and open that up and put a beautiful facility, and then you would be away from anybody that's afraid of you. Okay, I'm not afraid. I just don't want another rehab program in this town that's that big. I've got grandchildren that live on that side of the town. Thank you.
Shirley Summers. Is Shirley Summers here? Shirley Summers? Okay, Joe Amalfitano. And then I'd like to invite up the South Shores Community Association.
My name is Joe Malfitano. I'm a resident of San Pedro here in the immediate area of the proposed facility. And what struck me is one of your statistics up there about the real estate appraisal and the values of properties not changing. Well, I'm going to tell you what I went through. I'm a licensed agent for 35 years. I had a property for sale on 19th Street years ago. And the neighbor said, good luck selling it. I said, what do you mean? He says, well, there's a facility down the street. Well, you guys are attorneys and you know what the meaning of material fact is, don't you? It's anything with relevance that could influence somebody for buying that property must be disclosed. We had the property in escrow twice. As soon as we gave them disclosures, they canceled the purchase. We never sold the property. So that was 10, what are they called? Guests at the home, 10 patients, 10. You say it's not sober living, but they're there for 90 days. I mean, someone's staying there. How are you gonna sell a home that's in the immediate area or thinking that it's not gonna get devalued when we can sell a home that had 11 guests, but you guys are gonna have 120 with 200 visitors? I don't understand how that's gonna happen. Okay? I live in South Shores. How many times I walk down the street and guys are laying in the middle of the sidewalk and I approach them. I hit them up. You know, do you need help? Do you need this? What are you doing? You're bugging me, man. Go get me a slice of pizza. You know, I mean, you talked about police security and on, but it's going to attract people that you're saying it won't. You're making it sound all beautiful and it's probably not going to be. Okay, so, you know, it's the optics of it. And people, and regarding disclosure, there's no line limit, there's no boundary. It says beyond 2 miles, you don't have to disclose. Thank you.
We have the South Shores Community Association, 1, 2, 3, and 4 all speakers, please, for the South Shores Community Association.
Good evening. My name is Ed Storty, and I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak here tonight. I'm a member of the South Shores Community Association, and my wife and I have lived in South Shores for about 49 years. I also come to you as someone who has spent much of my life supporting recovery and treatment, and that's personally for myself as well as professionally, and I believe in it deeply. I'm not going to ask a question. I'm really making a statement here. And that is, this is not about opposing treatment. This is about principle. And the principle is simple. The right care for most must be matched with the right location and the right expansion or density. As taxpayers who will be repaying this bond, our residents have a rightful voice in how these funds are to be used. What is being proposed here is up to approximately 100 plus residential clients and 200 outpatient participants, which represents a significant increase in activity and fundamentally changing the footprint of this location. And context matters, impacting a neighborhood with schools, daycare centers, military housing, already impacted traffic. We've also seen that similar facilities increase demand on services like the Los Angeles Police Department and the Los Angeles Fire Department. The concern is not about individuals seeking help. They deserve care, dignity, and support. It is about concentration and placement in a sensitive area. An analogy I give you is if a hospital wanted to build an annex here with higher volume and activity, we would raise the same concern, not about the service, but about whether the increase fits the setting. We are asking for a decision guided by principle. The San Pedro community has been built with a lot of care and pride over decades. We're simply asking for the same level of care in this decision.
I'd like to also call up Gail Fleury and Michael Simon.
Hi, I'm Bob Janess. I live in South Shores, a quiet neighborhood of elderly people like myself, and some young families with kids. It's right across the street from the Fred Brown proposal. I'm retired and I operate CyberWatch. CyberWatch is a vast online neighborhood watch system, connects the community with the LAPD in a very effective way, back and forth. Late in 2025, we noticed a big blip of complaints about drug activity. The complaints came from the condo complex and the cul-de-sacs across the street. And the state of events right now with this emotional level, it's having me question whether I should really open my mouth, because frankly, everybody's made up their mind, it seems to me, and very strongly. But what these people witnessed for a period of time, 10 weeks, disoriented people sleeping in backyards, shooting up drugs, leaving hypodermic needles behind, a lot of yelling and fighting going on, constant paramedics on the scene. Very frightening for the elderly and the kids who live there. The fire department told us that there were 85 emergency calls for 2100 Western Avenue during that time frame. That creates the state of emotional level we've got right here. And it's unfortunate. On the other side of the coin, we've got what is being proposed that I happen to agree with this group that says, you're in the wrong place, folks. You have picked a bad and you have selected a bad and a dangerous location. Okay, bad and dangerous location. And what I'm going to urge is you stick to your wheelhouse. Do what you do best. You're to be respected and admired for what you've achieved on a boutique, small level of bridge homes with 4 to 6 patients. Warehousing people like this is obscene.
Thank you, thank you. I'm pretty much going to echo what has been said by one gentleman who said, drug addiction is a choice. Getting old just happens. I'm Richard Scandaliato. I'm president of the South Shores Community Association. My wife and I are residents of San Pedro for 52 years. I had to figure that out twice, by the way. And 50 years in South Shores. Our children performed community service at the Little Sisters of the Poor location. We attended many, many masses at the house chapel. Bottom line is we're invested. We are here to communicate 3 words: stop the funding. While all forms of supportive housing serve important roles in our broader community, the proposed use of the current Little Sisters of the Poor property for senior care aligns more closely with the character, needs, long-term stability, and safety of our surrounding neighborhood. Our community and compassionate housing options for older adults, a senior living facility, will provide a valuable service to families seeking quality care for their loved ones, while also fostering a quieter, more predictable residential environment. In contrast, large housing models that serve justice-involved populations or individuals in near early recovery, while essential, often require a different level of infrastructure, oversight, and community preparedness to ensure successful integration and safety. At this time, many residents feel that the particular location is not the most suitable location for that type of use. In addition, this particular proposed location is close proximity to schools, places of worship, parks, daycare, and retail outlets that dispense alcohol. This is not the place. This is not the location. We believe that a senior care and assisted living facility would not only meet pressing societal needs, but also complement the existing neighborhood, have a positive effect on safety and security, and build goodwill among residents and stakeholders. Thank you for your time.
I'd like to call upon an Xavier and Martin Vukatic.
My name's Richard Welsh. I am with the South Shores Community Association. I was born at San Pedro Hospital. I'm the 2020 Polar Bear King. And I invite you all to come down to Cabrillo Beach, January 1st, go for a swim. Right now, the water temp's about 61. You'll find it invigorating. You'll love it. Councilman McCosker, thank you for holding this town hall meeting so that we can get our concerns out there. And the Fred Brown Association was talking service planning areas. We're in service plan area 8, which is put on by the County of Los Angeles Department of Health. And it runs up to about Carson. At your open house, I believe you had also mentioned you are going to be available to service plan 4 and 6, which extends all the way up through downtown. So we could have people coming in with issues, and according to your flyer, up to 90 or 92% justice involved. This is a very significant population. And one of the big concerns is we could have gang members from one part of this town getting drug treatment that don't necessarily get along with others from a different part of the town. And this could be a powder keg if these guys want to get out of the facility. And this is a free country. If somebody wants to get out of the facility, you can't keep them there. They're free to leave on their own goodwill. So if you have a MS-13 gang member who is, by technicality, a foreign terrorist organization as given by the US State Department, this is a really big problem in a time when we are already very short on police productivity here. This is not the place. Thank you.
Linda Myers.
Thank you for letting me speak. I do not like to speak in front of people. I would not do this if it wasn't very important. My family first came here 70 years ago, bought a home in South Shores. We were the first graduating class of South Shores Elementary. Before that, we went to White Point. It was a wonderful neighborhood to be raised in. I'm sure the Fred Brown organization has a lot of good testimonies and good works that they've done. In Rolling Hills Highland, they had a home, and I'm not saying this is what you want to do, but there was a home in the neighborhood for women getting out of prison. Crime went up in the neighborhood, and I think the father died or something happened where they sold the house. The neighbor across the street bought the house to make sure it would not be used for that purpose again. My point in being is, I've helped the homeless and the needy for 45 years. The first people that I helped was a homeless woman who was schizophrenic with lice that I brought into my home. I've helped drug addicts. We have helped drug addicts. We have helped homeless. It's not that we don't care about them. We do, and I would be on the phone for hours trying to find facilities for people doing drugs or homeless. I agree it's a problem. I'm not against what you're trying to do. It's just not the right location. There are children, there's the school, there's a lot of danger that could happen. So I really hope you'll reconsider. Thank you.
Drew, I'm going to ask you if you would do me a favor and, or which one of you would take this and give them out to the people up on the stage. Thank you. I'm Gail Fleury. I am in my 8th term as the co-chair of Wilmington Neighborhood Council. However, I live in South Shores. I'm also the founder of Angel Gowns of South Bay and co-founder with my husband of Light at the Lighthouse Music Festival. And my goal in life right now is just to do good in the community. So I have compiled for you a list of hospitals that are available as a solution to your problem. On the list are 4 hospitals that are all available. The prices for some of them are listed. All of the agents' phone numbers and everything are also listed there with the addresses. But the one that you might really want to look at the most is in Long Beach. It's called Termino Portfolio. And it is larger than Little Sisters, and it is gorgeous. And it has 280,000 square feet. And it's a beautiful location for you. So I had 2 questions, which is, one of them is, when a patient's insurance runs out, what happens to them? And then what other decisions has City Hall made when you were talking about how a covenant was already dismissed because it was not applicable? I would like to know if there are any other decisions that City Hall has made that we don't know about. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Martin Vukotic. I'm a lifelong San Pedro resident and a retired police captain with over 30 years of experience managing narcotics, mental health, and community impact issues. I support the mission of recovery, but successful recovery requires proper alignment with local resources. I am formally requesting tonight that the city require a comprehensive public safety impact assessment before any further approvals are granted for this property. What is being proposed is a high volume campus with 106 beds and 375 outpatient clients located just 765 feet from Ocean View Preschool. This scale represents a significant departure from the stable, low-impact senior care this property was designed for. As a retired police officer, I know firsthand that our officers and firefighters are the ones who will ultimately absorb the impact of large-scale facilities like this. Today, LAPD staffing is at a 25-year low, and the fire department's response times have already been impacted by increasing system-wide demand. Here in South Shores, many residents are already paying for private security because public resources are stretched thin. We can't ask our already overextended first responders to take on a facility of this magnitude without a formal analysis of its impact on emergency response times for the rest of the community. Additionally, with pending legislation such as Senate Bill 1060, which addresses buffer zones between recovery facilities and schools, it would be prudent to wait until those safety standards are fully established. Recovery is about accountability. Tonight, I am asking for that same accountability for our neighborhood's safety. Where is the study that shows that our community and our first responders can support this? In closing, good policy without proper alignment isn't compassion, it's a liability.
I'd like to call upon Michael Simon, Katie Boyd, and Emma Williams.
Good evening. My name is Xavier Hermosillo. I've lived in San Pedro since the dad was born, which will be 76 years next month. And I grew up down 2nd and Center, the only corner that wasn't the housing projects. But the influence of it was clear. And thank goodness I had who knew how to kick my ass and take my name constantly. And I grew up in a tough environment. And so I understand what can happen when people who don't share the same experience, the same values as others can bring unexpected and unacceptable behavior to a neighborhood. Not because they're mean or evil or wicked, but in this case, they have other issues. And I'm not going to stand here and tell you that I don't understand the problem of alcoholism or whatever, drug addiction, etc. I'm half the man I used to be. I had an eating problem and I weighed 500 pounds. I'm literally half the man I used to be. And so I understand addiction to food. People don't really understand it. But when you have a sweet tooth that, is killing you, you go through processes. I went through a number of programs like the ones that you offer. And it made a difference in my life. So I understand that concept. But there's also the issue of the wrong thing in the wrong place. And the property that you're talking about now, all the restaurants and barbershop and everything that's right next to it, used to be Furman Lasswell High School. And as a sports writer and later sports editor of the San Pedro News Pilot, which we had for 120 years, we learned about the community, the church, and owned a property on 1600 block of 21st. So I just want to say that this is not the right fit for our community, and we wish you the best, but this is not going to work. It's going to be a problem, and so let's find you another place.
Thank you very much. Hi there, my name is Katie. I'm an emergency department nurse at San Pedro. So I know firsthand what it's like to deal with patients that come in and have drug and alcohol addictions and psychiatric problems. Now, I'm really nervous because this is so impactful to our future, to my children's future. I've worked there for 15 years. This facility having 200 outpatient, that's wild. Robert, I congratulate you, but statistically speaking, first time, they don't make it. It's a 30% chance, right, of them being successful, 30%, okay? And now I look at my little girl, Summer. Where do you go to school?
I go to South Shores.
Where does your baby sister go to preschool?
Ocean View.
Ocean View, 2 buildings down from this facility. I'm here. You're looking at me right now. You're looking at my children who you are going to be impacting. When I was a little girl, it used to only be Pacific that we would have to turn our heads and be like, wow, that's somebody, out of their mind right there. Now it's Gaffey. Now it's creeping up to Western. And we are not going to do this to our children. We are not. We are not doing this. I am also the pediatric liaison for the department, and I will advocate for children to my last breath. And this is your why right here. These children are your why right here. We're not doing this.
I'd like to call John Muntz, Maynard, and Carrie McMillan.
Good evening. My name is Emma Williams. I'm a member of this community. I go to San Pedro High School, and I'm my class's president. And I'd just like to say thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. I want to start by saying that addiction and recovery are issues that are very real to me. Like Ms. Janice Hahn said, people with addiction are not bad people. I agree with that 100%. Some members of my own family have struggled with addiction, and some still do to this day. Because of that, I truly understand how serious and difficult it can be. I believe that it is very important that people who are struggling get the help they need and have the opportunity to recover and build better lives. With that being said, I also believe that where recovery programs are located matters, both for the people in recovery and for the surrounding community. Our neighborhood is made up of schools, local businesses, senior communities, and many families who choose to live here because it's a safe community. Children walk to nearby schools. Families spend time in parks and small businesses. They depend on the trust and comfort of people who live here. Because of this, many residents are concerned about placing a rehab facility right in the middle of this environment. Parents worry about having a facility like this located so close to schools and places where children spend their time. I went to South Shores Elementary School and I go to San Pedro right now. And honestly, I am not comfortable with this at all. Even if the program has some oversight, it can still create uncertainty for families who want to make sure their kids grow up in a safe community. Local businesses could also be affected. Businesses rely on customers feeling comfortable coming into the area, bringing their families and spending time here. If people begin to feel unsure about the neighborhood, it could impact those businesses and the community as a whole. Again, I want to be very clear that I believe recovery is incredibly important because people who are trying to turn their lives around deserve support and opportunities to succeed. But rehab facilities work best when they are placed around areas that are designed to support recovery, such as locations closer to treatment centers, counseling services, and transportation. Our community, please let me finish. Let me finish. Please, please let me finish. I'm begging you, please. And our community cares about helping people, but we also have to protect the safety and stability and character of neighborhoods where, please stop this. And where families, please let me finish. This is important. No, please do not touch my property. No, let me finish. Our community cares about helping people, but we also have to protect the safety and stability and character of neighborhoods where families live, children go to school, local businesses operate, and the senior community that have been here long before myself. A facility, I will wrap it up when I'm almost done. A facility of this size will absolutely have a negative impact on the existing residents of the facility, San Pedro as a whole, the youth and the businesses and first responders in this area. Thank you for your time.
Hello, my name is John Munz, and I'll give back some of my time to her. But I think the bottom line, I have a whole list here of issues that we have with this not the program, but with the initiative. I think it's the scale, because if you look at your own website, it says you've been successful because you've had a small family-like atmosphere. This is not a small family-like atmosphere. This is entirely new for you, and there's nothing that says that it will work. So what will happen if all of a sudden a year into this, we do have people all over breaking into our houses? What's going to be the plan at that point? So the bottom line is, let us help you. We would like to help you get established somewhere, not here. This is not the right place, okay? You've been given a list of facilities. I can also tell you that in Palos Verdes, there's another high school that is pretty much going to be empty, that they might be able to lease, that is actually pretty much self-contained. It's called Del Mar, I believe, or something like that. But anyway, I would explore other opportunities. Don't fight. We don't want to fight you. Let's partner for another location.
I'd like to call upon Patty Cookrub, Rainey Quick, and Josette Echeverry.
Hi, my name is Carrie McMillan. I am a San Pedro born and raised person. Like many of you, I have a PhD, a Pedro High diploma. And while I appreciate that this is a much needed a much needed program, I think I have to agree with the people that think you're stepping way out of your league. I will, and 2 or 3 people have already brought this up, but I printed this from your website. Treatment is provided in a clean, comfortable, and friendly home-like atmosphere. Individual attention and small group size is an important feature of our program. Now that's printed, that's cited on 4 different tabs on your website. So this seems to me like even you know you're stepping out of the box, and I don't know that you're prepared for that. I also worry, I congratulate you on securing funding. That's an amazing challenge. However, all of this has been concerning the building out, the changing of the facility to accommodate this program. What hasn't been addressed, aside from residents using their insurance, is where the other funding is coming from. Your insurance is not going to be able to cover the price of giving that person a residence, nurses, medical facilities, doctors. You are going way, way over this home-like community. And I think that it would be a very wise idea for you to listen to these people and reconsider.
Real quick, I want to make a programming note, just let you know that we have about 35 more cards left. And so I want Drew, I want you to call folks. I appreciate folks are lining up, and I'm not asking you to go faster. I'm just saying if we just make sure that we go at a constant pace, we'll get all these cards.
All right, and I'd also like to call on
2 minutes,
John,
and stick to 2 minutes, please.
John Kusich and Gary Busey, or excuse me, Edwin Busey.
Hello, everybody. Matt Smith. Been here a long time. 21 years at federal prison. I learned a lot about drug addicts. Okay, everyone here votes with their heart. Oh, let's prop one and get these guys help. I saw so many families enter the prison and go, man, if I would have known my kid would clean up once he hit the joint, I would have never put him through all this rehab. So when you guys vote for all this stuff, you think you're doing favors for these people and diverting them and this and that. They don't clean up till they hit the joint, and they got to fight for dope. Okay? So when you guys vote, voting has consequences. Probably half the people in here voted for this Prop 1. And here we are. All right? All right, everyone have a good night.
What I'm calling Maynard. Is Maynard here? I know, I'll get to it. Patty Kukrov? Sukrov, okay. Please come when I call you.
Hi, my name is Patty C., and I am an alcoholic and a drug addict. And I had 14 years of recovery. And I want to know what happened to Fred Brown. Did he die of his overdose? So evidently the program doesn't always work. Now, I got a brother that died on the streets 5 years ago from meth, in and out of rehab. My dad died on Skid Row. I've got, my whole family's riddled with this stuff, and I know a little bit about recovery. And I'm gonna tell you something. I'm not impressed with what you guys are trying to do. It's too big. The homes that you have inundated San Pedro with your homes. I'm sorry. Recognize you. I know her. Anyway, what are we, 3 miles by 5 miles? How many Fred Brown facilities are there here? Why here? Why not somewhere else? Haven't you done enough damage? I feel sorry for the people. We wonder why we can't go below Pacific, because it's dangerous. I wonder why. Because those poorer people never had a choice to say no to you, to put your homes next to their children and their families, and nobody stood up for them. But we're going to stand up now. And I really want to know what happened to your husband. Did he die with a needle in his arm? That's all I want to know.
I'd like to call on John Cusick, Gay Horton, and Jacqueline Maciel.
Hi, my name is Rami Quick, and I've been a part of South Shores community for close to 30 years, but my family's been here for well over 100. Okay. You know, I echo a lot of the sentiments that have been shared by our proud San Pedrons that are here today. And one of the sentiments is the size of your facility. I think even the smaller facilities you have, as you stated, you're not 100% perfect. Right now, there's been countless, probably emergencies to San Pedro Hospital. San Pedro Hospital then contacts Fred Brown because they're your patients. There's no answer to your phone calls. So they're released on the community premises. What's happening now, if your facility is that size and they're released in our community, bad things are going to happen. So I want to know, my question is, who is accountable and who's going to be held responsible? Is that you?
For all of the people who are standing up, we have plenty of chairs over here if you want to make your way to a seat. Josette?
Yes, my name is Josette, and I've lived here for over 50 years. I'm concerned about many things. First of all, this is not an NIMBY. This is not about my backyard. We've got 37 in our backyard. How many do you have in your backyard? And right now, there's none in Palos Verdes. There's none in Rolling Hills Estates. There's none in Rancho Palos Verdes. There's lots of places to look for other facilities. The other thing is, I want to follow the money. Where's the money coming from? And how are you doing this? 'Cause this is all about the money. There's a lot of money in what you're doing and a lot of kickbacks for a lot of officials besides yourselves. And I also want to point out, I've written grants for cities and counties and states for over 30 years. Your grant is a little fishy. It's fishy that you've already gotten that amount of money without a lease agreement in place. So are we being lied to as a community that the lease is already signed and sealed and delivered and we're lied to right now? Because that's kind of what it feels like. The county does not give money, the state does not give money for you to figure out where you might put it later, that you already know. So are we kind of like in China getting propaganda and you guys are providing propaganda to the community of San Pedro? We're not stupid. So there's more to this story. So I'm ashamed of our city officials because I think they knew. I am ashamed of us voting for something on Prop 1, and I'm ashamed of each and every one of you. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Erwin Busey. I've been practicing real estate for over 30 years. I've taught at USC. I've taught at LMU. The idea that this has no impact in decreasing property values is completely false. I am an owner of a property directly adjacent to this property. I went to church at Little Sisters of the Poor with my mom. There's sensitive receptors completely surrounding this site. This is inappropriate and not well thought out. You have, and you've indicated you're going to have 200 visits per day. There is, and thank you to Councilman McCosker for bringing up the covenants that are recorded against the property. That is on the title report. I pulled that title report. One of them has to do with parking. There's a parking variance and there's a certain number of parking spaces required. Where are you going to park all those 312 people? And by the way, that doesn't even include all the employees that you're going to have, from security to hospital workers to nurses. Are you going to park on the adjacent streets? Where are you going to park? This makes absolutely no sense. And I'm very disappointed that we're here to even discuss this. Thank you.
I'd like to call up James O'Connor, Jordan Rivers, and Peggy Lindquist.
Hi, everybody. I'm going to cover a couple different angles here. Nobody's talking about our San Pedro Gold, and that's our elderly. That's our elderly that's getting screwed with this deal. My name's John Kunich. I grew up in South Shores on McRae. I attended South Shores Kindergarten, Mary Starr Elementary, High School. And I played, I used to play on the, we used to all go to Vallecito and play sports with the McCosker boys and Scanliatos. And San Pedro was South Shores was a wonderful community to grow up in. And I think I'm a lot like a lot of you, where your grandparents or your great-grandparents immigrated from Croatia and Italy, like my wife and mine. And they came here and they fished, they tugged, and they worked on the docks. They raised their families here. They got old. They utilized and they died. So I'd like to direct this to Councilman Tim McCosker. Up with. It's not a pleasure being here right now to speak like this, but you grew up here in San Pedro. You know this isn't just another neighborhood. It's a community built over generations by families who immigrated, stayed, invested, and cared deeply about one another. Loyalty and integrity matters in this town. Many of those people are now our seniors. They raised their families here, they worked here, they fished here, they longshored here, they built the character and stability changes for property and formerly the historic Furman Lassouin High School. Not because people don't care about it, but because they are afraid of losing the sense of safety, predictability, and peace they have relied on for years. What makes this moment so important is that this project use not yet been filed. That means this is your decisive turning point where your leadership matters most, Tim. Before the process becomes formal, before options narrow, before the decision becomes harder to change. I just need one more minute. This isn't just about Fred Brown Recovery Services. It's about trust in Tim McOsker, our elected resident councilman whom we put into office because he was one of us. People here are watching closely because they believe in you, Tim. Understand them. They believe that as someone who grew up here on Vallecito Drive, that you will weigh not just policy, but people, not just proposals, but the lived reality of the community that raised the McOsker family up. We are asking you to stand with them. You've displayed a pattern of saying you are against many issues, yet they still move forward. If you claim opposition to this, now you have the stage to prove it. It's not right for San Pedro. Stop it, not later, not quietly, right now. Against it means nothing if it keeps getting approved. So what are you here for? Who do you actually represent? Your job is to protect San Pedro's quality of life. Please stand up right now and say, not on my watch, and mean it. If you can't, San Pedro needs to put in place a leader that can. Because once this moves forward into a formal approval process, it will be too late to truly reflect their voices. This is your moment, Tim, to show that San Pedro residents, especially the seniors who built it, that they still come first. Please don't let them feel forgotten, because in San Pedro, we don't turn our backs on the people who built our community. We stand up for them.
Okay, are you good?
Good evening. I wanted to just let you know that I worked at Little Sisters of the Poor from 2015 to 2018 before I retired. I loved working there. Everyone, the staff, the residents, everyone, the volunteers were just so loving. Unfortunately, due to financial difficulties, Little Sisters had to sell, but they looked long and hard for a new buyer, a new owner. The requirement was whoever bought the place was to maintain it and keep it as an assisted living facility for seniors of low income. Now, they did sell it to a woman. I forget her name. Thank you. And with the requirement that she would allow all the residents to stay there. No one got kicked out. And also, they always had daily mass there at Little Sisters of the Poor.
And that was another stipulation of the agreement for the new owner to always have daily mass. And my understanding was that Grace did continue to have mass there while she owned it. Now, I don't know why she sold, or I don't know if she's still the owner. I really don't know what happened after 2018, after I left. But I know all the nuns really wanted to keep it as a senior living facility for those folks until they died. So I hope we can keep it that way.
Test.
My name is Jacqueline Maciel, and I'm here tonight as a parent to my 3 children, 9 and 12 years old, and an 8-month-old baby. I'm a resident of this community and have been a first grade teacher for over 20 years. I stand here feeling sick to my stomach over the issue we're all facing in our beautiful neighborhood. The people that reside here are the ones that are committed to working hard for one another. So many public servants, healthcare workers, fellow educators, military, police and firemen and women, and generations of people who have worked so incredibly hard to live somewhere safe, especially for their children. That has enough to worry about in today's world. Yet we congregate here tonight to fight, to be loud and steadfast in our belief that all children have a fundamental right to grow up in a safe community. Laws that have already been passed were meant to do exactly this, to create structure, limitations, and order, not chaos. Yet even Megan's Law has been altered as a safeguard, and the bill 1060 is being further reviewed, which is in part meant to restrict the location of these large treatment facilities to over 1,000 feet from schools and daycares. We need added safeguards and protection, and we need your help. How can the people making these secretive and despicable decisions fall asleep knowing the type of danger they're willing to put other people's children in? Rest assured, we know they would never want to live next door to a facility such as this. I'm hoping Ms. Hahn is still listening. The good people of San Pedro already know how important the safety is of our most vulnerable members. How is it that our legislators do not? It is very simple. Our children's future is in your hands. Allowing this facility to happen will, without a doubt, ensure that our children will no longer be safe here. With a preschool right next door, schools within walking distance, and children playing near and around their homes, these individuals have easy access to our kids. We are begging you not to wait for an assault, a rape, or any type of tragedy to happen, for you to realize this was a huge mistake. There are decisions to be made, and I'll say it again, it appears our future is in your hands. We have to trust that you will uphold your oaths of office and stand up for our San Pedro community. Please don't let us down.
I'd like to call Peggy Lindquist, Denise Lauro, and Gisette Espinoza.
Hello, everyone. My name is James O'Connor. I want to start by thanking everyone here today who works hard to help addicts recover. That's really important work. And I don't at all shame people like Janice for trying to do what they think is right. Approximately 3 hours ago, while eating turkey, I looked out my kitchen window toward the Sisters of the Poor campus. If I was in a bad mood, I could throw an orange and easily strike one of the buildings. That proximity brings the reality of our current situation into sharp focus. I hold here in my hands San Francisco. It's a book that examines the history of mental illness and drug addiction policy in the United States by an author I really like named Michael Schellenberger. It traces how deinstitutionalization, the large-scale release of psychiatric patients without adequate community support, has contributed to the suffering we see today, individuals wasting away on our streets in cycles of addiction and untreated psychosis. We all share the same objectives: clean streets, safe neighborhoods, and a healthy, mentally well, addiction-free population. Yet the prevailing model has failed. It prioritizes voluntary participation almost exclusively. The legal standard for intervention remains an immediate danger to oneself or others, typically suicidality or homicidal behavior. Someone covered in fleas conversing with unseen entities, and scavenging from trash receives no mandated assistance under our current libertarian leading laws. The approach offers abundant carrots but woefully insufficient sticks. Former addicts have testified that prison saved their lives by enforcing structure, sobriety, and separation from destructive environments. Okay. Last December, recovering addicts housed on-site ran amok in my neighborhood, an unfortunate pseudo dress rehearsal. A proven model exists, one informed by the successes in Portugal and Denmark and clearly articulated in San Francisco, but such approaches integrate accountability with care, moving beyond pure volunteerism to dedicated measurable improvements. By adopting this more balanced and structured model, we can better break entrenched cycles, restore dignity to those suffering, and reclaim safe, thriving communities for everyone. San Francisco, give it a read.
I'd like to call upon Mary Lynn Brown Bellman, Scott Smith, and Kelly Miller.
Thank you very much. Hello, my name is Jordan Rivers. I'm a candidate for CD 15 here representing San Pedro. I'm happy to be a resident here, here for 13 years. And I do just want to say some things. Yes, I am in fact firmly opposed to this proposal. However, I do believe that thank you so much. I am in fact firmly against and oppose this proposal for the plain reason that this seems to be a decision not made by the community, but for the community. I don't think that when a facility like this switches hands for the price of $27 million, that we can really put a price tag for the existing social services of making sure that senior citizens on memory care have to move facilities. This was a commitment by their families to be put in these facilities. And I think commitment comes with consistency. People experiencing memory loss should not have to move place to place if they're not fully aware of their surroundings. I just don't understand this. But let me also just say that I believe that, whether you're for this proposal or against this proposal, I believe a community is for each other, not against each other. And I do want to thank Mrs. Brown for being here today. And because I do know her husband, who sadly did pass away, if I heard correctly, is in fact a resident or at least is familiar with the area. We do respect all residents, regardless of their background, place, and society and the obstacles they did in fact overcome. I also do believe that the way the member was treated, the supervisor was treated, is not reflective of the best of what San Pedro has to offer. Those that are committed to this issue stayed this long to actually hear what others have to say. We need to be mindful of each other to make sure we keep the discussion human and thoughtful, and actually be mindful of the circumstances given the sensitivity this issue faces on residents. So I think we all can in fact be better and be just a bit more human to each other. But the final point that I do want to make is quite simply the proximity. I think that where the site is located, not just because it's in a residential area, but the easy access to leisure from resident leisure from stores can, really enable kind of, bad habits and easy access to leisure that we don't want to see. But at the end of the day, this is a community this decision needs to be made by the community. So I hope we all listen. Thank you.
Ask me to speak for her. Hi, I'm Mary Colbert. My aunt, my 88-year-old aunt, lives at Ocean View, which is the part that's managed of Little Sisters of the Poor right now. And she's really loved it there. The staff is really good. I talked to the staff. I know them all pretty well. I've been there so many times. And they said that no, they have not had any contact from Fred Brown Association. They know nothing about their housing being affected in any way. I have to say that you told us that it's already been discussed with them, but they don't seem to know anything about it. So I think we need to protect our seniors there and that see that something's worked out, that they're taken care of. Okay, that's about.
Yes. Hi, my name is Denise Laro, and I'm old enough to go back to the Furman Law Sewen time And I remember how hard we fought to keep that school open. I went to Mary Star and we were supposed to go co-ed. When we lost it, we were devastated. But then the fact that it went to a senior living house made the loss a little bit easier. So we accepted it. And then I hear people say, oh, we have no compassion. We just don't care. We love our city more than we love people. I'm in the same boat as John Kunich. Great grandparents came from Italy, not speaking a word of English. Grandparents born here, parents born here, myself born here, and we never left. And to think that this is happening now and our seniors will be kicked out is just devastating. I love my city, but I love my family more.
I'd like to call upon Kathleen Devine, Maura O'Brien, and Chris Balanek.
My name's Scott Smith. I've been a resident of San Pedro for 36 plus years now. And I think a couple of points I just want to make real quick have already been brought up, but I just want to add a couple things. One is the location and the need for the location at this point out here in South Shores. Your slide number 7, I seriously doubt the numbers are accurate. I can't believe that 90732 has a 53 or 53% higher drug and alcohol hospitalizations than the LA County average. That just doesn't make any sense to me. There's not a chance that number is even close to being accurate. There are a lot of other places that are much, much higher than that. That number's just off. Second, the numbers for the assisted living facility for seniors, you said it didn't make any economic sense. I don't think the current owner has even looked into that. Fred Drower is I don't even know how to put it politely, but that guy has more damn lawsuits and bankruptcies than you could shake a stick at. You can go online and Google it, and it's probably a list about 10 miles long of lawsuits and bankruptcies. And he hardly takes care of the property as it is. So there is no way that he's done a study that would indicate that a senior assisted living facility would not make money out there. Every one of these facilities, the senior citizens assisted facilities that are currently in San Pedro are pretty well booked up as far as I'm aware of. And there is a need for that here in this town.
I'd like to call up Guy Watkins, Carla Glover, and Ann Scheffler.
Hi there, I'm Chris Balanek. I'm a homeowner in San Pedro. I want to start out by saying that your math in your handout is terribly misleading. You're saying that there's going to be 106 beds, 16 veteran beds, and 175 to 200 outpatient people per day. But how many times a week do they come? Is that 200 per day for 5 days a week, for 7 days a week? Is that 1,000 extra patients? Is that 1,400? Are we looking at 1,200 or 1,400 people, distinct, different people who have who are justice affected, or who are addicts, who are former felons, future felons? So the math in the flyer is garbage. My sixth grader would get a D for some of the charts and grids you did. For some in this community, your reputation precedes you because we've had to deal with your clients on street level, your washouts, addicts who are on our streets as homeless felons committing crimes. I founded a neighborhood watch, very hands-on neighborhood watch 10 years ago, and I'm one of the idiots that would chase those guys, chase the tagger down a dark alley, chase the arsonist down the bottom of this canyon in the dark, hold the guy in a woman's basement he was burglarizing for hours until law enforcement arrived. I was in a pocket park below Gaffey a couple years ago, And there were 2 people with luggage there living in the park. They were unhoused. So me and a friend of mine asked what they were doing there. There's a game in this town. Are they a cruise passenger or are they chaos? Royal Caribbean and Princess and Carnival, they bring cruise passengers to San Pedro. You guys bring chaos. They were on our streets because they washed out of your program and they had no way to get back to where they came from, Florida. So when you say that the people are going to come locally and they're going to affect all of our addicted relatives locally, I don't really believe you, because you've already shown that you make money by bringing people in from out of state and out of town. And the last thing I'll say is, you guys don't have the bandwidth for this. You're a charter boat service by means of an analogy. You're the USS Minnow. Your track record is not good. Your custody of care is not good. Now you want to all of a sudden go from being a charter boat service to being a cruise line. Well, guess what? Your cruise line will be the Titanic for San Pedro.
John Scheffler, Pat Trutanich, Tina Farino.
Good evening. My name is Carla Glover. I grew up in San Pedro, attended the schools in San Pedro, graduated San Pedro High School. I've worked at San Pedro High School for the past 35 years. And my mother is a resident of the current or former Little Sisters of the Poor. She and I, neither one of us has received any kind of information regarding any transition for her living situation from you or anybody else. The fact that that was stated, that there had been partnership and that information had been communicated to any of the residents is false. Therefore, leading me to think that anything else that you have set up there tonight is false equally. And to my community and fellow voters, as a teacher of San Pedro High School, if we maybe put some of that bond money or all of it towards educating our children and giving them a better stability to learn to say no to drugs and maybe never start, we wouldn't be facing having to see if there's going to be a facility for recovering addicts. Maybe we should start preventing it rather than healing it.
I'd like to call up Nancy Dover, Ive Jazina Martin Vukotic. So you got it right this time? Any of you here? Okay. Barbara Winans, Leslie Carbajal, Von Wolf, Brody Seagrave, Pat McLaughlin, and George Ramirez. Whoever wants to come up, come on.
Pat McLaughlin. Hi, my name's Pat McLaughlin. I've lived in San Pedro for 18 years, own a home here. And I'd like to talk about the accountability, broader fraud concerns, and the independent investigative journalists, you know, recently up in Minnesota, where they exposed widespread Medicaid fraud in government, addiction recovery programs such as overbilling, kickbacks, and poor oversight, resulting in millions of misused taxpayer dollars and FBI involvement. Similar concerns are now appearing in LA County audits of drug medical providers, with this project seeking over $73 million in state Prop 1 funding, plus ongoing medical reimbursements. What concrete independent auditing requirements and anti-fraud measures will you insist on to protect public money and prevent patterns seen elsewhere? And recently, I think it was last year, Fred Brown failed an audit by LA County. So I'd like to see what that audit was. You're shaking your head, but it's out there. It's out there. So anyway,
compassion for the elderly people. We need to take care of our own. So I'm just saying, think about it. The sisters would never have sold that facility to Grace Mercado if they knew that this position would be in here in a few years later.
Hi, good evening. My name is Bridget Markovich Smith, and like many other people that have come up here, I'm also an educator, 34 years for Los Angeles Unified, as well as a realtor. So I love facts like you do, ma'am. I believe you spoke on facts, and you quoted some facts that were very cherry-picked, and it was a matter of a simple Google search to prove you wrong. So I'd like to point that out. Drug treatment, this is per Google. Drug treatment facilities can lower surrounding property values, with studies showing an average decrease of around 8%. While some research shows a potential of 17% drop for specialized addiction clinics, the impact on property value is negatively impacted. I go on to quote saying that facilities treating opioid addiction, methadone clinics perhaps, may have a more pronounced negative effect as reported in this. So while you came up here for half an hour and I felt like you were spewing propaganda, I don't think it was fact-based. And I'm just going to say, I would love to see all of your sources. And when we asked a question, the slide was skipped over. So a more well-rounded showing of true data would have made you more relevant to me. And I probably would have, believed something you said. Additionally, you spoke on transporting outpatient patients to and from this facility shortly. And I want to know, I would like an answer. How is it feasible and realistic for us to believe that you can transport 200 outpatients on a daily basis and ensure that they will not be wandering the facility? And my question also is, I have another question because we were supposed to ask questions. What percentage of rehabilitation housing do we currently have in San Pedro compared to other cities within Los Angeles County? How many beds do we already currently have? It's enough.
I'd like to call up Zachary Smith, Ian Ellis, and Jackson Bice.
Hello, my name is Dolores Comer, and I worked as the development director at Little Sisters of the Poor for 10 years. I was very involved in the sale of the home with the sisters, and the sisters never chose the county or the city of Los Angeles and Janice Hahn because they knew that this is the type of project they were going to want in their facility. The current owner promised that she would keep the residents who wanted to stay at the facility and care for them until their dying day. Unfortunately, she did not understand San Pedro and the way this community operates. She is currently leasing the property to the people who are running the residential care facility, Ocean View, and she leased the property to Fred Brown until Councilman Tim McCosker contacted her and she asked them to leave the facility. Whoever was leasing the property. So also, I've been tasked with having to remove all the religious items at Little Sisters of the Poor by the current owner. And I've seen firsthand how this property has itself come way below what its standards are. It's disgusting. Absolutely. The grounds were beautiful. It's so sad to see how disgusting it is. I've been inside the section that these residents were there. It's dirty. They destroyed the property. The apartments that they were living in, you can smell the defecation, urine from animals, and this is what they left the property with. And the sisters took great care of this property. They cared for the elderly poor. And I'm just saying, it needs to remain as a senior facility. You want people not to be homeless? Don't throw out those seniors.
didn't get that. My name is Gary Dostalek. I've been an occupational therapist for over 50 years. I've worked in over 10 different types of facility in all the fields of care we have. I started off in working in mental health and drug addiction over at LA County, the Lamo Hospital. And I watched as these programs get bigger, they begin to fall, they twist the statistics. And, you know, we see this happening here tonight. These numbers are just fabulous. Kind of phony baloney statistics. I'd put our phony baloney statistics up against your phony baloney statistics anytime. I'd like to say that in the time that I spent working as an occupational therapist, I enjoyed the field. As I watched facilities try to grow, they begin to cut staffing. People start getting hurt. They do a quick fix on it, try to sell the business and get out from under it. This has it written all over its face. It's gonna fail. It's too big to succeed. Please find another place.
Sandra? Good evening, everyone. Thanks for waiting around. My name is Zachary Smith, and I just want to say I oppose this plan in the current form. I'm sort of uniquely invested and qualified to talk about this issue. I live across the street in one of the cul-de-sacs where I live with my wife and my 2 young daughters, 9 and 2 years old. In addition to that, I've been a public defender serving the County of Los Angeles for the last 23 years. And as a public defender, I have placed people at Fred Brown. I also have lost 2 of my 9 siblings to the disease of addiction. I work every day with this clientele, and I'm very familiar with it. I've been in the rooms with friends who have suffered from addiction and seen how they've recovered. So I know what I'm talking about. I also know that we have to talk about reality, and I appreciate everything that you're doing for addicts. And I appreciate the first responders, nurses, and police officers who've gotten up and spoken, because I think we kind of share some experiences and some truths that need to be talked about that were glossed over. One, that people won't leave. When I've placed people in drug treatment programs, sometimes I have to set up for them to be picked up from the jail and brought to the facility because we don't want to release them and just have them try to make it there on their own because they won't make it. Okay. Sometimes they get taken by the van to the program and they don't even go inside. They just walk away. That's reality, okay? The second thing is that in the first 90 days, 60 to 70% do fail. That's truth. People relapse. That doesn't mean we have to not treat, but people relapse. That's the truth. I'm down 15 seconds. I apologize. So we got to deal with some of these truths. If you just give me a couple more seconds here. One of the things I'm concerned about is the due process in this, that a lot of these plans went forward without a lot of due process. Oddly enough, and I'm running for judge in this election, but part of it is standing for due process and the substantive issue of treatment, because I believe in treatment rather than prison. But I also believe in due process, not just for individuals, but for the community. That was lacking in this situation. We didn't get to hear about all this stuff until we're having this moment right now. Here are some questions I have. In my experience, many people with dealing with drug addiction have dual diagnosis. What kind of psychiatric care is there going to be? A lot of times, once people come down from getting high, you realize the extent of their mental illness. And what are you able to do at that point? Drug treatment programs often have to be a patch for the failures of the mental health system. There's sober living, which is people who have been recovering for a while and are going to be a lot more successful because they have a base of recovery rather than people who are coming straight from jail and are in acute situations. And the first thing they want to do when they get out of jail, frankly, is to use. Okay. The scale of this is unmanageable. And I didn't hear anyone talk about traffic. Okay, you're saying you're going to have 106 beds, and at the same time, you're also going to have 200 people coming in and out. We don't even have enough medical vans in the County of Los Angeles, much less transport from people to drug programs. I am going to be shocked that you have enough transport to bring all these people in. And the traffic, there's never been a traffic study that I've seen. The traffic that it would cause, the staff you would need to have the right kind of program where there's individualized counseling and and all those people are going to be employees are going to have to come in. Where's the traffic study for that? I have a hard time believing there's no market for multi-generational housing. I've seen this in my hometown of Washington, D.C., where older people can grow and live in apartment complexes with young families. And so it keeps them feeling young. This could be also a place where there's many medical facilities that are needed. The Hill is getting older. San Pedro is getting older. On Palos Verdes, they are building senior facilities. They've built multiple ones recently. And there's one right here now that exists and we're not using it for that. It doesn't make any sense. People need to be able to age in place. Thank you. Let me wrap up. So I appreciate all your time. I appreciate the politicians being here and I appreciate treatment. I think this is the wrong spot for it and the scale is too big.
I'd like to call up Paul Gonzalez, Stephanie Coughlin, and Mary Colbert.
Evening, everyone. My name's Ian, resident here, also a dad. My kids live pretty close to the proposed site. Oh, sorry. My kids go to school pretty close to the proposed site and pass it very often. So a lot of people this evening have been showing a lot of emotions, and I'm gonna try not to do so as well. So I'm gonna talk rationally and logistically how this is going to go. It was just mentioned the traffic. So I think somebody earlier mentioned the amount of parking spaces that would be utilized for this. It's a massive scale operation that you guys are wanting to do and build this up. Not only your personnel that you have in the facility, but also all the people that be working. And then you also have the security, which you noted as 24/7, yet there was no indication of how many people would be actively manning the security at any given time. Does that scale down in the evening? Is it manned at the doors? Is there access for anybody coming in, coming out? Right down the street is prime access to get to the beach, everything. So I think logistically, a lot of people have already mentioned the scale of this not working, but just logistically, it's not going to work. And then the renovation portion of it, how long is that renovation going to happen? You said a year, but how extensive is that going to be? Is that going to stop traffic in that area? Because a lot of people come through on Western. So how is that going to look? Are we going to be impeded during the process of ramping this up? Or how is this going to go? So.
I'd like to call up Doug Conley and Jeff Shampene, S-H-A-M-P-N-E, I believe. Thank you.
Hi, my name's Stephanie Coughlin. I'm a local realtor. I live in South Shores. I've been there for over 30 years, worked very hard to get there. And I want to just talk about some money. Let's talk about the 73 million grant that is our taxpayer money. Okay, let's talk about what happens. So Tim McGosker at the Elks Club in South Shores told us that, yeah, after 30 years running one of these places, it becomes an asset. Okay, so while we were in this meeting, myself and some of my neighbors were looking at each other and wondering, why San Pedro? Why South Shores? Well, when we found out it would turn into an asset after 30 years for something they got a grant for, answered all our questions. Of course, you would want that as an asset with ocean views in prime residential real estate. Okay? So that's where the money is. The other thing is I want to address is when you say 200 people will be coming there for their treatment per day, who will be bringing them? It won't be vans. It will be their criminal friends and whoever they hang out with outside of here. And when they're released from here, where do they go? Right down into the rest of San Pedro and join the homeless.
That's what I think.
Is Jeff here? Jeff? Is Doug Conley here? All right, then Jeff will be our last speaker.
I'm the last speaker. Great. Jeez. All right. Well, I we're all talking about rehabilitation and everything, and let's really talk about why they're up here. I mean, it's not why you're up here, but this is a business, right? It's a nonprofit business, right? You're not standing up there or sitting up there because you're not getting paid. You're getting paid for everyone that goes into the facility. You're getting paid for every inpatient, every outpatient, everyone that goes in and out of that facility is being paid by the state or by the federal government. We're not sitting up there because of the kindness of your heart for the most part, right? I mean, it could be, but still it's a business. And I just wanted to ask you, the person in charge of security, you said, oh, they're going to check in and they're going to check out. Who's going to follow them around? They're going to be walking around Albertsons, walking around Bonds, walking around Smart and Final, walking around Sorrento's. Who's following them around? Nobody? They just check out. And also, just for you, when something happens with one of these people, when they rape one or they have criminal things against other people, who's going to be responsible? Who's going to be sued from the lawsuits? When these people criminalize somebody, is it going to be you guys? Okay.
All right, everybody, now we're going to, as I said at the outset, we will turn now back to the proposer, and they will respond to these questions. We have every other card. We have every card that you submitted. I think it was about 300 cards. We're going to make sure we hang on to every card. And then I want to do some closing comments and make some suggestions about next steps. So why don't you go right ahead?
Well, thank you for sticking around. Okay, I'm going to start with something I heard a couple of times. I think we can all agree. Yeah, an advisory council. We're going to get one together. We are a 501c3 nonprofit. We have a board of directors. But yeah, an advisory council for this project. It's a great idea. It's something we're in the process of putting together. And hopefully some of you folks would be part of that. Okay, and we also have a hotline up here and information. If you're interested in serving on the advisory council, maybe that's a great place to let us know, and then I could reach back out to you. Sure.
Hey, I want to interrupt for a second. I realize we're going to be losing the crowd. As you go out, I want you to take a look. You can grab one of these sheets. It's a big QR code. And if you're like me, you can have your kids or grandkids tell you how to use it. And you click on the site. For next steps, we have given you all of the responsible parties that can act on this matter. You have the address and information on the state offices, the state regulatory agency. There's a regulatory agency over the rehabilitation. There's a state agency over the senior care. There is our state senator who wrote her letter of opposition today on there. There is the nonprofit that does the evaluation. I'm going to ask you to reach out to all of those folks to express your views, because the state statute is written in a way, this is really important. The state statute that follows this money is written in a way where the local government has very little discretion.
The local government it's written into the statute. I heard John talk about a CUP. It is written into the statute. If the statute is followed, that a CUP cannot be required. A discretionary action by the local government cannot be required. What we need to do is we need to be talking to these folks that are on the QR code, who are at the state offices and are doing the evaluation and are walking through all of the steps that come next for the proposer to make sure that your voice is heard. I will express my voice loud and clear. I have not changed my position. I think, despite what I heard tonight, the covenants on the property mean something, and they will not be set aside. And there's no judge sitting over this matter in the room. I think there is one judge here, but not sitting over this matter. So we're not going to give up that argument. I also firmly believe, as we heard many, many times, that the model for this organization is a model of small units, small homes, and this large facility is something that is beyond, in my opinion, and I get to have an opinion, is beyond the scope of their ability. And when I was asked by somebody very directly, what is the city doing? We are getting from the city attorney an analysis of what approval process we have, which is kind of limited in the statute, but we are also asking particularly about those seniors and those folks that are in convalescent care at the property. Again, some folks that we know, to see what their rights are to remain, because those are tenancies. And I want to understand what those rights are, because when someone asked me about where's your compassion, my compassion is with the folks that are living there. I do not want to move people out for the sake of a business model that makes more money. So I remain opposed, but I'm going to need you. I'm going to need you to you can voice them to me and I'll get them to these folks. But if you pull down this QR code, these are the folks you need to talk to, okay? And I think you all need to thank Senator Richardson for her letter. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. Let's see. The small group size was mentioned. Well, group size is mandated by state and county standards. That's 12. And we would be holding multiple 12-person groups. Little Sisters property is very home-like, and we intend to keep it that way with the gardens, and it will follow that same model that we've had success with. Although large programs can be effective too, but that's not us, and it won't be at the Little Sisters. I do want to touch on something somebody said about failing an audit. Not true. We are audited constantly. In fact, we have 2 going on right now. Auditors make recommendations and then improvements are made. There may have been an audit that he saw that had some recommendations. Those have been resolved. We have passed every state, county, federal audit, every regulatory body for the past 43 years. Our corporation, our nonprofit corporation stands in compliance with the state in every way. Let's see. Okay, I wanted to address the rogue operator that unfortunately the owner let in there. And they didn't do us any favors or you any favors for sure, but that's not us. That's not how we operate. And we were able to partner with the councilman and get the owner to kick them out. That's not us, and that's not how we'll operate. Let's see. Discharging to the street. We don't do that. We will take them anywhere. We've taken them to San Diego. We try a warm handoff to another program, to mom's house, wherever they want to go. Very few refuse. In fact, we looked at the stats for the last year. We didn't have a single person that left unescorted in the entire year. Um, Okay, concern for displacement, yes. If it was up to us, we would love to have them there. The place is big enough to house it. I don't know that legally that can happen. But they were planning on moving before we even got involved. Those wheels were in motion. Yes, the operator has other facilities. He's moving them out. As far as we're concerned, they could stay. And the nuns as well. We put that out we would have loved to have the nuns stay. We were communicating with the owner and the operator, not with the residents, obviously. Okay, anybody else want to? Yeah. Oh, security perhaps?
Thank you for that, Brody. I think what we've learned tonight is that we have a lot more discourse to have with this community. The advisory council is an excellent idea. Further open houses, learning about the programs, learning about, the services. They're very important. Thank you so much for sharing your feelings, opinions. Those that are looking for additional resources, I believe on the packet that was printed out, the sources are on where the data is located. We will work to get further resources and research and data for you. And thank you for tonight. We look forward to future conversations.